Good evening, my silly little brethren.
That's me. I'm the silliest guy.
Welcome to Summon Greater Podcast.
A podcast about homebrew and homies.
We're going to talk about some items today.
Yeah. Because you left us on a cliffhanger.
I left you on a
week.
cliffhanger.
You said you were going to talk about something.
Been a lot longer for y'all than it has been for us.
Yeah, it's been about 9 minutes for us.
Yeah. So this is the intersection of a couple conundrums that I've had when
really?
thinking about items. And
Is it? I'm so sorry. You sounded like Jeff Goldblum. This is the intersection.
I feel like I could do a pretty good Jeff Goldblum.
I think you really could. God, I'm so sorry. I completely derailed that.
No, you're good.
We were at an intersection.
I'm gonna have to make that a villain, I think. I will throw Jeff Goldblum at y'all.
Fuck yes. You know Justin will weep tears of joy.
So we were talking about a little bit last episode about progression, and we discussed how leveling is the easiest way to do that, but can't be the only one, lest you get too far ahead of your own pacing and things get too crazy and you kill God too quickly.
Yeah.
One of the other things you can do is introduce an absolute manic plethora of magic items. I
love manic plethoras, especially of magic items.
Not the order I thought you were going to go in. I really thought you were going to go like, I love magic items, and I love a magic plethora of them. But what does it mean that you went the other way?
I have no idea. I am the loot whore in every campaign that I play.
Dude, it's a good thing to be, I think.
Well, that's good.
Go on.
No, that was it. I want it all. Is there something on the floor? Give it to me. Put it in my pocket. I will attune to it.
It's very funny to see only Sophia get annoyed with it.
When you ask, fucking funny.
Like, what's in his pockets?
What's in his pockets?
And she goes, well,
I don't know. What's really funny is the fact that looting has been historically where I get 90% of my natural 20s.
Yeah.
Except in the last session, sadly, I got like a 9 and I didn't find anything.
Yeah.
So instead, as a consolation prize, I ripped out the dude's teeth and horns.
Yeah.
As
you found something.
As one does.
Make your own treasure.
Exactly.
You know?
See? When you're playing in the dried corn bin of life, if there's nothing at the bottom, you just grab a handful of corn.
What do you mean?
If there's nothing hidden at the bottom of the dried corn bin of life, you just gotta grab a handful of corn and make the best of it.
I'm not gonna chase this. I'm gonna hurt this. I'm not asking. Something I feel like you have to always be prepared for when your players are inevitably going to ask you for loot is
the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah. Something I feel like you should always have prepared for the player who asks is a weapon and or a piece of armor.
Yeah.
Because the guy you just fought is carrying something.
You
Probably.
Yeah. You know what else doesn't get used anywhere near enough as loot?
What?
Potions.
Yeah. Yeah. At least in our experience. I'm sure this varies table to table, but
yeah, that's true.
We are historically fairly low loot across our tables.
Mm-hmm. Which, is an absolute tragedy.
Don't look into the camera.
Please help me. I need more loot.
Dude. So I was thinking about like just some little shit with like like interesting utility effects that you can give to your players just to, at the very least, replace their, plus nothing short sword
Yeah.
or spear that
Or
they've
just
had.
like a fucking regular ass +1 something or other. Like,
Yeah.
Yay, it's a magic item.
Hey.
It's +1 weapons. Like, I understand the concept of +1, +2, +3.
Yeah.
+1 weapons are honestly some of the most disappointing loot to get in the entire game. Like, I'd almost rather just have a regular ass fucking
I think
greatsword
so.
than a +1
I
greatsword.
think so, yeah. I've got something that fits a similar rarity, but is just the slightest bit more interesting than your basic short spear, as it were, in this instance.
Hell yeah.
This is an item from Out of the Abyss, the source book.
Oh, the Descent into Avernus? No.
No, Out of the Abyss.
It's just Out of the Abyss, isn't it?
That's
There's
the name
no
of the
other
book.
title. I thought that was like a subtitle. No, it's just called Out of the Abyss.
Yeah.
I always forget about that book because I'm always thinking like Descend into Avernus or like a Baldur's Gate something or other.
Yeah. It's an adventure that happens in the Underdark.
Yeah,
Lot
not
of,
in the Hells, in the Underdark.
A lot of drow shit going on.
Good. Good for them, honestly.
I want this book for Christmas after looking into it just a little bit. There are these guys called the Darrow. Derro. They're kind of like dark dwarves to my understanding.
Dwarks?
And they mob you and then they knock you on the ground repeatedly. And how they do that is by flanking you and then hitting you with this, the hooked short spear.
Hooked short spear? Oh, please tell me it's like... I love when weapons have just any kind of alternate effect.
Yeah. This is so simple and so lovely. You'll get the interaction or the encounter rather that happens when I explain how this works. The wielder can use this weapon to force the target to make a strength saving throw, falling prone on a failure. Used this way, the weapon causes no damage.
God, I fucking love these things.
You fight like 6 to 8 of these guys. That's an annoying bitch of an encounter.
Yeah. Especially, I've always wanted to use the hooked swords.
Oh,
They have like the square like hand guard.
Oh,
of
yeah.
thing, and then the hook on the end of them.
interesting. Yeah, you could do a similar thing with that. I bet. I don't have the stats for that in front of me, but I imagine it works similarly.
I mean, I'd probably make it do the exact same thing.
After this encounter, anyone who asks for loot would just see this and be like, yeah, you can pick that up. And it doesn't do a lot of damage. It's 1d4 piercing. It's not got a lot going on.
Right.
But it's exactly the criteria you just laid out where you said, I just want something that does just a minor effect that is more interesting than just giving someone a +1 short sword.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like this is a little bit more interesting than that.
It totally is, because the other thing that I think a lot of people don't think about when they're considering like building a homebrew magic item or something like that, or a new weapon or something like that, giving it more damage is far more likely to not actually impact the usage of the item than giving it a utility effect.
Yeah.
Because with utility effects, you can strategize and you can like actually like work with your party members, like with the hook spear. If you knock somebody prone, up comes your rogue, there's sneak attack damage.
Yeah.
Because now they have advantage on melee attacks because the enemy's prone.
Yeah. Yeah. This also speaks to some comments that we've gotten on recent shorts that I've uploaded, where we talk about magic items, particularly like in the case of the runic the hammer of runic force, I think it was,
Yeah.
or the bow of melodies. Some one comment I've seen like a few times is this weapon doesn't really sound like all that. Like it's not that great. It's not that special. But like you need those to exist. Not every magic weapon can be fantastic or should be.
Right. And the other thing too, I've seen specifically on the runic hammer short, there was a big fight on one of the shorts between was the mechanics of the weapon any good versus some other person coming in saying it's not about the mechanics, it's about the flavor.
Yeah.
And I think that's equally valid. Both comments, honestly. Like, if you want a +3 hammer, you're not going to want the Hammer of Runic Focus. You're going to want just a +3 hammer.
Yeah.
So go get the +3 hammer. But if you want flavor, if you're building your character around a theme, you don't want just a plain old +3 hammer. You're going to want the Hammer of Runic Focus.
Yeah. You know, they are both right. Like, the guy who first commented, you know, the min-maxer, I'll call him, is right in that, like, you know, in most instances, you would much sooner, in every instance, if you had a choice, you would sooner pick up the +3 hammer.
Right, because
like,
there are no
you
conditions
should
to
do
be
that.
met. Yeah.
Yeah. The discrepancy in the argument I'm about to make is the rarity level, but frankly, there aren't that many rarity levels.
And honestly, if your DM is holding that strictly to, like, how often you find something of a specific rarity level.
Exactly.
You're being a little too picky.
It's a little obtuse to DM that way, I think.
Yeah.
Also.
Like if you see an item specifically, again, the Hammer of Runic Focus, that is a very high rarity level, but it functions like it should be a lower rarity level, don't make it cost as much. Don't make it as hard to find.
Yeah, just tweak that shit.
Yeah. It's so easy to do that.
Like, yeah, I would introduce the opportunity to get the Hammer of Runic Focus far sooner than I would the +3 hammer.
Yeah.
Because the +3 hammer is just better wholesale. But Hammer of Runic Focus is really cool. And like the flavor guy said in response, the well-flavored weapons are sometimes the ones that you want to stick with just on principle because, you know, because of the experiences you have using them.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there's a lot of value to that opinion, personally.
Because there was another comment on there later where they said, oh my gosh, you could pair this weapon, the Hammer of Runic Focus, with the Sentinel feat.
Yep.
And just like, attack of opportunity, you cannot leave the aura. I was like, that's so cool. Like, it's, again, if you're playing for cool factor, I think you're winning. If you're playing for, I want to deal as much damage as humanly possible in one single turn, I think you are also winning. I think you're just playing two different games.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really true. And they are more or less appropriate depending on the table you're sitting at.
Yeah, very much so. I agree with that.
In our case, a lot of the time, we're a flavor table.
Yeah, we are a very flavor
and
table.
I love that for us.
I'm the closest thing we have to a min-maxer at our table.
Yeah, and like in the grand scheme of things, you're not really.
No, I'm nowhere near as bad as a lot of people. Like, I still choose the races of my characters based on what I want the race to be and how cool I think it will be. I'm not going and being like, okay, well, I know there's going to be a lot of spellcasters in this world, so I'm going to play a gnome because they get advantage on saves against spells or something like that. Like, I'm not min-maxing that hard. But if you're playing like a really hardcore, like intense combat-focused campaign, there's a lot to be said for that. Like, pick a character that you know can stand up to it and survive. That's awesome. And like the fact that you know D&D well enough to be able to make those decisions is really fucking cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about these kinds of weapons that just have like a little bit of utility to them. And often when I am trying to brainstorm shit for D&D, I will turn to Xenoblade. That's right. We're talking about that again.
Surprise. It's Xenoblade again.
This will happen again, and I don't apologize. And I have to I have to take a second to vent my frustrations about how the weapons work in the first game. Every main party member has a specific type of weapon that they use, and you will throughout the game get loot of every type of weapon, and you're constantly like looking for upgrades for all of your characters. Just standard MMO type shit. A lot of the mechanics that appear in all the Xenoblade games, but especially the first one, are stuff that would be very recognizable to a legacy MMO player. Weapons in Xenoblade work sort of similarly in practice to weapons in Final Fantasy VII, in which you have a certain number of augment slots or gem slots, as they are in Xenoblade. Typically like the lowest rarity level of any type of weapon will have no slots, and then you can find like variations of it with 1 to 3 open gem slots. You can craft these gems that have all sorts of different effects. You get like resistance to certain debuffs, or a higher percentage chance to inflict certain debuffs, or like a passive buff equipable gem that you can slot on your weapons, like all an incredible amount of different effects. Sometimes though, you will pick up weapons that are labeled with a little U for unique, that or unequipable. I've heard people use both. That come with 2 to 3 unequipable gems already slotted in, and these weapons, from a roleplay perspective, are designed to be like weapons that have innate attributes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you say unequipable gem slots, like those are gems that you normally could not apply to that weapon at all, or can't apply to anything else.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Like when you are done using that weapon, you can't pull the gems out of it like you normally would and reuse them for something else. Like those gems will stay with that weapon.
Gotcha.
There's this one, totally random one that I landed on, called the Safe Driver. This is a weapon that your party member called Ryan can pick up. Love Ryan so much. I have definitely, I've worn a shirt on this podcast that is a reference to a thing that he says very often. First of all, I need to show you what Ryan's weapons look like, because the concept is a little bit over designed, and I love it. So this
it's these.
Yeah, this is a scrap driver. It's a sword and a shield and a gun.
It's perfect.
And it's ridiculous, and I enjoy it. Every weapon that Ryan can pick up, including the Safe Driver, which is this one. This comes with unequipable gems. Debuff resist 3, all debuffs, 20% chance to resist them on hit. Topple resist 4, and daze resist 4. The theming is powerful here, because this is meant to invoke a very stalwart, blocker of a weapon.
Yeah.
That is meant to keep you upright. So that got me thinking, I'm like, is there a shield or an item at all in D&D that is meant to do that, is meant to keep you from falling prone? And I couldn't find anything. So my thought along the lines of, just having some fairly basic weapons that have some really interesting utility buffs to them is a tower shield that gives you immunity to the prone condition.
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything like that.
Huh.
There's nothing that specifically prevents the prone condition. And like, why not? Might as well.
Yeah, that is a really good point.
And for that matter, while this Safe Driver also prevents daze, you could throw on the also prevents like stunned or something.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do with that. I think it would be really cool to kind of take from paladin auras and take like the concept of like, well, you are within this area, blah, 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 you are immune to X effect, X effect, X effect. And to just apply those to a weapon, and it's like, well, you are wielding rather than, well, you are within the aura.
Yeah. To that end, though, while I was thinking about shields, I went looking for more magic shields.
Oh, yeah.
And I found a rather interesting one. This is technically a cursed weapon.
Ooh, we love those.
But I feel like the positives far outweigh the negatives here.
Yeah.
This is the shield of missile attraction. Do you know this?
I know this one. You'll have to remind me exactly what it does, because the wording on this was always what got me. But I love the concept.
It's very
of this
cool.
Fucking gun or weapon.
Now, bear in mind, this is a cursed weapon. Attuning to it curses you until you are targeted by the remove curse spell or similar magic. Removing the shield fails to end the curse on you. So you can unequip this shield, but you will retain the negative effect, which is interesting. But while you're holding it, I feel like the negative effect is kind of awesome. Whenever a ranged weapon attack is made against a target within 10 feet of you, the curse causes you to become the target instead. You're a black hole for projectiles. Kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of it. Other than that, it's a normal shield. It increases your armor class by 2 and everything.
It's such a cool shield to give to like a paladin or a barbarian or something like that. Because I always forget this. Barbarians can use their unarmored defense and a shield.
Mm-hmm.
Always forget that shit.
That is a wild thing that they have. Yeah, I forget that all the time also.
But yeah, man, you just hand that to a tank and you're like, all right,
exactly.
I'm really sorry for what you have to go through, but take some arrows. Have fun.
This is one of those really interesting cursed items that I could also just see someone who's decided to be the dedicated tank picking up on their own volition.
Yeah, I'm looking up right now because I want to find out. Monks cannot use shields.
No.
And benefit from their unarmored defense.
I get what you're going for. However.
Yeah, no, that would be fucking stupid. That would be insane.
However, when you remove the shield, you fail to end the curse.
Oh, Jesus.
So you can do what you're thinking of here.
Well, yes, but you don't get the resistance though. Because the curse still applies to you. You no longer have resistance to damage from ranged weapons, and you no longer have the +2 to armor class.
You're still a black hole for projectiles.
Yeah, and however, what I was going for with the monk thing was that monks get an ability called, where is it? Deflect missiles.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use your reaction to deflect or catch the missile when you are hit by a ranged weapon attack. When you do so, the damage you take from the attack is reduced by 1d10 plus your dexterity plus your monk level.
This would be a very funny curse for a high-level monk to have.
What's really fucking funny is that theoretically you could do a monk barbarian multi-class.
How does that interaction happen?
So the 2 different unarmored defense abilities, we just ran into this not too long ago when trying to figure out my character in Sophia's campaign, because they are both what we in the Magic the Gathering world will call replacement effects. So they do not stack. When you are determining your armor class, you choose one unarmored defense or the other.
Oh. Well, shit.
Yeah. So if you have decent dexterity, decent wisdom, decent constitution, that's all you need. You can pretty much dump every other stat if you want to. You would wind up using the barbarian's unarmored defense using your dexterity and your constitution modifier to determine armor class, which will then allow you to use the shield and still benefit from the unarmored defense. But then your multi-class into monk, if you have at least 3 levels, you still get deflect missiles.
Holy. That's pretty good.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
On top of the fact that as you level up in monk, your unarmed attacks increase. So if you're just running a fucking barbarian with just shield and beatdown, that's kind of sick.
That's cool.
That's kind of fucking sick.
I like that.
Especially because, like, theoretically, you'd really only need to take a few levels of barbarian. And then you can take, like, all the rest in monk.
Mm-hmm.
So you would still get the movement bonuses. You would still get all the dope monk shit. But you gain the ability to use a shield and still have unarmored defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's so cool.
That's nice.
Yeah. Circling back to the shield, though. So fucking fun.
Yeah.
So fun,
Yeah.
dude.
I like that type of shit.
I agree with you 100%. I think the benefits far outweigh the curse.
Yeah. Yeah. For most characters that would pick up a shield, I think so.
Yeah.
Are you down to just like spitball some shit here?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I
down to spitball.
I
on
mean-
Summon Greater podcast.
all right. So I'm kind of just scrolling Xenoblade unique weapons because a lot of times what happens in this game is you pick up a really well themed and interesting unique weapon. You know, it looks way different than anything you've picked up, and it's got a sick ass name to it, but it doesn't fit the optimal build for the character.
Oh yeah, that hurts.
For example, there's this. There are several awesome weapons that this character called Dunban can pick up. Dunban, I love Dunban. I got to make a build for him someday. He's a samurai of some sort, but maybe not entirely. There are 10 legendary blades throughout the game that he can pick up. The game does not make a big deal out of them. It's a very like lore in the item descriptions type thing. Just very subtle and like it's something that only the first game does that I love a lot. Here are the unequipable gems that this one has. Art Stealth, Back Attack Plus, and First Attack Plus.
Art Stealth.
Art Stealth. So in Xenoblade, your attacks are divided into two categories. Kind of, you have your auto attacks, which is like, you know, a basic.
Yeah, it's like a passive.
Yeah. You just when you are close enough, you swing, and do a range of damage. And then you have your arts palette that has like, you know, your actions, your Pokemon.
Oh,
moves,
okay.
right?
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot what arts was referring to.
So yeah, when you use arts, you are less likely to gain aggro from that action.
That's nice.
And then back attack, you do more damage from behind, and first attack, your first attack of the battle does more damage, which in Xenoblade is, in my opinion, a rather negligible effect. I don't understand why you would use that, but this is a very interestingly themed weapon. Unfortunately, Dunban is designed to be an evasion tank.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
At least in most party builds, there are builds where you can probably play him to the strengths of this weapon, and I should think about doing a run like that sometime. But like in most instances, you wouldn't use this. So I want to talk about instances where maybe we would in D&D. Who would pick this up?
Who, like, of our characters
Who
that are currently more
as
currently
a build? What class? You know, what role picks this up?
Okay. Walk me through the gems one more time so I can just kind of
So art stealth.
art stealth.
You're drawing aggro less. Obviously, aggro isn't as much of a thing. It's more up to the DM, but something to consider and expand on. Back attack plus and first attack plus.
Oh, this is a rogue weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm imagining art stealth would be more along the lines of an innate ability to, when you hit with an attack, or, no, I think it would be when you miss with an attack. You get the opportunity, you get a chance to immediately make a stealth check
Oh,
to hide from the enemy.
that's interesting.
Because I think if you made it to where it was like on a hit, I just feel like it wouldn't make as much sense.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you miss, you can immediately hide.
Mm-hmm.
And then back strike plus and first strike, whatever they were, that sounds a lot like abilities that rogues already have, like assassinate.
Yeah.
Or like if you're attacking someone that hasn't moved yet in combat, you get an automatic crit or something. I don't remember the exact wording of it, but and then backstrike, that one I feel like I would give the weapon itself maybe an additional damage dice when you land an attack while you have the flanking effect.
Just status,
position.
yeah.
Status or something. Yeah, while you are flanking an enemy with another ally, you gain an additional weapon dice for your damage if you hit.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. I think that would be a really, really fun one to play around with.
Yeah.
Here's something for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to kind of take us in a little bit different direction here. Let's imagine we're in a D&D campaign that uses firearms.
Mm-hmm.
And they are very, very prominent. They're everywhere.
Okay.
Everybody's got a gun. Like, you would use guns instead of swords, kind of a thing. So, I guess you could technically kind of say, like, cyberpunk-esque, but doesn't necessarily need to be. The reason I say this...
Oddly enough, that is the first game I thought of.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising. Reason I go this direction is because we have mentioned this before. I have very briefly talked about this before. I used to play a lot of Destiny.
Sure did.
What Destiny is known for is its exotic weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some exotic armors as well, and we could talk about those too, but I wanted to talk about the exotic weapons specifically because there is one exotic weapon in particular that just means a lot to the Destiny community because it belongs to a character who has passed away in the lore and everyone's fucking sad about it. This exotic weapon is called the Ace of Spades. It is a hand cannon, which is a revolver. Belonged to Cade 6.
Okay.
A very, very beloved character in the game. But this revolver, Ace of Spades, was his weapon. I have always wanted to play like a Destiny D&D campaign.
The theming and environments are...
It's very D&D coded.
Yeah, actually.
Like, very.
Yeah.
You're just using guns.
It gives me Spelljammer vibes.
Ooh. Oh, yeah,
Right?
dude. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so Ace of Spades abilities and perks, they call them, I want so badly to translate into D&D. So freaking badly. The primary, most notable exotic perk that this weapon has, reloading after a kill loads the magazine with a few extra damage bullets.
Whoa.
It also it grants you radar while aiming down the sights, which is mechanic in Destiny. You have a little proximity radar, but when you go ADS with your guns, when you aim down the sights, proximity radar goes away. That's supposed to just be like, okay, you're focusing on the thing. You no longer get to focus on what's around you. But with Ace of Spades, when you aim down the sights, the proximity radar stays up. So it's supposed to be like, helps you with your awareness and whatever. And also reloading after a kill, adding extra damaging bullets in there. Really nice. It also has the perk called Firefly. Precision kills with this weapon increase reload speed and cause the target to explode, dealing solar damage to nearby enemies.
Okay. Let's take a minute to adapt that.
Uh-huh.
What's a precision kill?
It would essentially be a critical hit.
Okay. Yeah.
So precision kill is a headshot
Okay.
in Destiny.
Got it. So just like they explode?
Yes. It is quite literally an explosion.
Well, that's fun.
And it deals splash damage.
Shit.
Yeah. What do you think specifically for Firefly, the precision kills and explosions?
If you're adapting that literally, and this causes an indiscriminate explosion in a certain radius, 10 feet, say,
Yeah, 10 feet
when you kill an enemy with it, or just land a crit, I would adapt precision kills to be when you kill an enemy with this weapon.
Okay.
In D&D, I would.
Yeah.
Because crits are rather inconsistent, but landing headshots is a layer of skill.
I actually had a really interesting idea.
What you think?
If we say for Firefly, if we say when you land a critical hit, the explosion happens. Going back up to the previous perk, Memento Mori, reloading after a kill loads the magazine with a few extra damage bullets. What if instead of extra damage bullets, when you get a kill with this weapon, increase your critical hit range by 1 for a certain amount of time?
There's an idea.
And you could have it stack. So if you go do what would technically be called ad clear in Destiny, if you go do ad clear, if you're in a boss fight in D&D and there's like one big boss and 6 or 7 little things, if you let the rest of your party kind of handle, like keep the big guy distracted and you go pop, 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 pop and take out 4 or 5 of the little ones, all of a sudden your critical hit range is increased from 20 to like 17 to 20. And then if you go for the big guy and you land that crit, then you get the splash damage.
This is
explosion.
sort of like the Desperado effect that we were talking about.
Thank you. I was so hoping that you would connect that. Yes, very much.
I like that concept a lot, and I think you would need to compensate for it by making the base damage dice kind of modest. Like 2d4 sounds sort of appropriate for this.
I was almost just gonna say like 1d8.
A d8.
On D&D Beyond, I don't know what source book this is from, but the standard pistol deals 1d10 piercing damage.
Okay.
Has a range of 30 feet to 90 feet. I feel like I would reduce the damage to like 1d8 and then increase the range.
I feel like that's appropriate. Yeah.
Yeah, especially because like the pistol, which is like a smaller gun, is 1d10. The revolver is 2d8 piercing with a range of 40, 120.
What would you call a hand cannon between those two?
Definitely a revolver.
Yeah.
Hand cannons are in Destiny. They have some of the highest base damage among any gun in the game except for sniper rifles.
Right, okay.
So they're meant to be like, you can have your auto rifles, which are basically assault rifles that will do a bunch of damage over time with higher magazine capacities, whatever. Hand cannons are very much slower shots, but they are meant to have way more recoil and do way more damage.
Yeah. Can you send me the page you're looking at here?
For the equipment?
Yeah.
User. So I just pulled up on D&D Beyond under game rules. I pulled up equipment, and then I just searched firearm in the search bar.
Okay. Are these all from Matt Mercer here?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Some of them, like I think the ones that are from the like either the Taldore book or something like that have the Exandria parentheses.
I see. I see. Okay.
But there are a few other ones that have been added in different things. Fucking
Would you still call this a 1d8 with the revolver stats in mind?
yeah.
Yeah.
I would say reduce the damage because the one thing that I might also add is when you do get a crit with the weapon, I feel like it would also do some fire damage in like as part of the crit in addition to the explosion.
I think
like,
that makes sense.
when you get a crit with it, I don't want it to just be like, oh, congratulations, now you get 2d8.
Right.
Which is what other revolvers usually do.
Yeah.
Because honestly, you could even say that it deals 1d8 piercing and then like 1d6 fire damage.
Mm-hmm.
Just normal for damage.
Yeah.
Which
That
would
makes
be kind of interesting.
So a d8 piercing, a d6 fire.
Because then when you crit, you are going up to 4 dice instead of going up to 2 dice, which I think just feels better.
Yeah. I'm looking at the smooth grip trait here. Slightly increases stability and handling speed.
I think that's on a little bit more of the technical side, which is where I would say if you wanted to adapt all of the traits of a weapon, this might need to be like a quote unquote source book of its own,
Right.
to turn Destiny weapons into D&D weapons,
Right.
which I would fucking love to do. But I think translating smooth grip, I think to me means that it does not take an action or bonus action or anything to draw the weapon. Like you can just pow.
That makes some sense.
As part of your action.
I could see that. Yeah. Initially, I was thinking maybe it's redundant with the higher crit ability of the weapon. Like if it's easier to handle, you know. But I think that is a cool effect, and that makes sense to me.
Yeah, because especially if you think about like handling speed would be like not needing to use a bonus action or action to draw it, and then slightly increasing stability, you could say it gets an additional +1 to hit. What would you say for increasing the critical chance range? It will stack. Do you think it should last for 5 rounds?
I think
Because I think what I would probably say is from the time that you first trigger it, you have it for 5 rounds. If you get another kill on the second round, the crit chance increases again, but now you're down to only 4 rounds left.
I feel like if you've got a thing going and you're keeping momentum,
maybe we should make it only last for 3 rounds.
I think
then.
so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I guarantee you someone's probably already made like an Ace of Spades on D&D Beyond, and it's probably super overcomplicated. But I love taking as literal of an approach as possible to moving something from a video game into D&D. But yeah, so I think it would be super, super cool to do like Destiny-themed abilities and things like that, and weapons in D&D.
I think there's a ton from this game to pull from.
Yeah, for sure. I know that there was a project happening for a while called D and Destiny, where they were like actually making a Destiny TTRPG based on the D20 system. So it's not, that project wasn't really like putting Destiny into D&D, but it was more like wrapping D&D around Destiny.
Yeah.
I would love to pull Destiny stuff into D&D because I think the classes and subclasses of Destiny characters could really, really easily be D&D classes and
Probably.
subclasses. Super easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the just from the little that I've played, the way that the classes work isn't really like anything that exists in D&D or even what they reference as their name, you know?
Yeah, it's not. It would not be a 1-to-1.
No.
Like, oh, this is definitely that class. It's very unique.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty nuanced.
There are aspects of some of the classes that show up in certain subclasses, specifically in Rogue for like hunters in Destiny. Rogues have some similar abilities to the hunters in Destiny, but still so freaking cool.
So at the end of our little brainstorm session here, which is fun, we should do this again.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have the Ace of Spades. It's a revolver with a range of 60, 120, 1d8 piercing plus 1d6 fire damage plus your dex mod. Memento Mori. When you kill an enemy with this weapon, increase your critical chance range by 1 for 3 rounds or until you score another kill, increasing your crit range again. Firefly. When you land a critical hit, you cause a 10-foot radius explosion, dealing 3d6 to all creatures. 3d6 fire damage.
I forgot
to all creatures within the radius, unless they succeed on a DC 14 Dex save, taking half damage on a success.
Yeah, not worded the most concisely.
I think there are just a couple things that need clarification, like the fire damage and what was the other? Oh, the fact that for Memento Mori, when it resets, landing another crit resets it.
Yeah. That's
But yeah, I think this is solid. And when you mentioned that someone has probably already made this, I did type in Ace of Spades into D&D Beyond Homebrew.
Oh no.
And you are right. Like the stuff I'm finding is quite complicated.
Oh no.
And I think our concept here is a pretty damn good adaptation.
That makes me really happy. I love Destiny. I used to play the shit out of it. It has fallen off of my radar as far as what I want to play because it's it costs too much money to keep up with everything that's going on now. Yeah, they've done too many DLCs and there's too many like season passes and things like that.
That's unfortunate.
It really is. And the worst part about it is that there is never a guarantee that you will get the gun or the armor that you want. It is all RNG.
Yeah.
So you just have to grind and grind and grind and grind and grind and get lucky. So like I had some friends that played for like 3 weeks and they got the season pass and they maxed out the season pass and they got lucky and they unlocked all the exotics in like 1 week and they were like, "Yay, look, I'm done."
Yeah.
And I never got them.
To my understanding, the game has gone through phases of like pretty good like fan base health.
Yeah, oh yeah. And I mean, a lot of the fan base, it's really funny. They love the game, they hate Bungie.
Yeah.
And they will sit there and go, "You ruined our game," like all day long. But that's why I have D&D, because I make my own fan base.
It's funny. It's true. Oh man, this has been a very fun exercise. I'm glad we got to just spend an episode on this shit.
I mean, we had so much more stuff like prepped that we could have talked about, but this was really, really fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll get around to this. That being said, holy God, please send your shit in.
Please talk to us.
Adapt something. Or ask us to adapt something. I don't care. Whichever it is,
we'll do the research.
You should send your request or your suggestion to summongreaterpod@gmail.com or at summongreater on Twitter. Or comment your shit under any of our social medias listed in the description.
That is true. We read those comments and we sometimes bring them up and talk about them on episodes.
Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week with more, I don't know,
Stuff.
summoning
And homebrew.
and homies.
Bye-bye.
See ya.